What makes a good film trilogy? I don't know, 3 great films that build on the original story arc and take the viewer on a journey that is concluded in a satisfactory way at the end of that story arc after the 3rd film? He's tiresome, isn't he? Okay, let's go on. Actually, he's probably right. Anyway, let's go on a journey through the best 10 movie trilogies that have ever been committed to film.
Come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
Hi there and welcome to Screen OD. I hope you're having a good day. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tim. I'm an editor and a journalist who's been talking and writing about TV, movies and entertainment for what? About 15 years now, which makes me feel old and hopefully makes you feel a little bit younger. If you are returning to the channel, thank you for coming back. It's great to see you again. I hope you're having a great day. Can I ask a favour? Would you just let anyone new to the channel know how great it is to be a subscriber to Screen OD, because you get all the best content direct to your feed. Now, if that sales pitch has worked on you and you're new and you do subscribe today, please write in the comments below that you've subscribed and tell me what your favourite TV shows and movies are so that I can say hi. And also we can include that in our research as we go forward as to what to make videos about. Now, I apologise if I look a little bit hot today. It's because it's the hottest day of the year here in England, which in England is about 3 degrees. No, it's not. It's over 30 degrees in England, which is very hot for England. And I'm in a small studio with all the windows shut. And for a drink, I've decided to have, yep, you're right, a hot coffee, which is a terrible idea on such a hot day. But here we are. That's where we're going today. So let's stop talking about me. Let's stop talking about the weather, which is an English obsession. And let's talk about another English obsession, which is great things to watch. And today we're talking about the top 10 best movies that have been made in trilogies. That's groups of 3 to those who don't know. I'm sure you do already know, or else you wouldn't have tuned in. We've got 10 great movie trilogies to come. So let's start our list somewhere, where should we start it? The beginning? Yeah, let's do it.
For nearly 3,000 years, man has searched for the lost Ark of the Covenant.
The Bible speaks of the Ark leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions. Not something to be taken lightly. No one knows its secrets.
Jones, do you realize what the Ark is? It's a transmitter. It's a radio for speaking to God.
Yes, it's Indiana Jones, and yes, before you write in and say there's more than 3 Indiana Jones, we're only including those first 3 as part of this trilogy. And let me try and remember what they all are. You got Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81, you got Temple of Doom in 84, and The Last Crusade, I think, was it 89? I think I'm right. If I'm wrong, put it in the description below what the real dates are, because I really should know them. But this is, of course, a classic movie trilogy following the exploits of Harrison Ford as the great archaeologist, adventurer, Indiana Jones. And, it couldn't really go wrong, could it? Because you've got Lucasfilm behind it, George Lucas, Mr. Star Wars himself, and then as a director, Steven Spielberg. Put those things together and you have got yourself a brilliant adventure trilogy, one of the very best indeed.
What does he think he's doing?
Job.
They have already killed 1 hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
Yes, there are more parts to Die Hard than the original trilogy, and perhaps they should have stopped at the original trilogy, many would say. Actually, I thought Die Hard 4.0 wasn't too bad. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the original Die Hard 2, Die Harder, which is a great subtitle for a movie. And then, of course, Die Hard with a Vengeance. You have John McClane, the cop played by Bruce Willis, a New York cop who gets mixed up with terrorists. First in a big tower, second in an airport, and then third ends up playing Simon Says with them. This is pretty close to the perfect action trilogy. Great story, brilliant lead performance from Mr. Bruce Willis, and some great baddies all the way through it. This is a trilogy that you should have on your list. If you only had a list of 3, maybe you'd have this on it, but with 10, it's definitely on there.
He has the skills
Stop right there!
of a dangerous man.
I need to know what went wrong.
I think he snapped.
But he has no memory.
We don't take care of this, we will both burn. It's trained, conditioned, built to disappear.
More action adventure now with the Bourne films, that original trilogy of the Bourne Identity, the Bourne... Oh, here we go. Supremacy, and then the Bourne Ultimatum. It was a kind of early noughties version of James Bond in a way. This was spy action adventure, but of course with a lot more amnesia. This is a great series of films that takes you on a fantastic journey across that original trilogy. And yes, they did continue with it, and they've done more with the series, including a TV series. But that original trilogy was fantastic stuff. Okay, a change of pace now, because we've moved away from the action adventure to one of the most beautiful and powerful and insightful trilogies of films looking at the human condition. We're talking about the Three Colours trilogy. Three colours red, three colours white, three colours blue. They are two films that are in Polish, one film that's in French. They are deep, they are meaningful, and they are dramas that every trilogy fan should watch. The 1979 film Alien from Ridley Scott, starring Sigourney Weaver as Lieutenant Ripley, was one of, and is one of, the seminal science fiction films of all time. But how do you do better than that? Well, you make a trilogy of films. You get Alien 2 and you call it Aliens, a pluralised title. I love that. And you know what? How can we make that better? Why don't we get the director in to be James Cameron? And then for the third film, they didn't call it Aliens Cubed. They just called it Alien 3, which is fine. But they got David Fincher in to direct that too. That is a great trilogy of films. If you're into science fiction, it's one of the best.
Tells of a ring created by an ancient evil that gave its wearer the power to enslave the world. Believed lost for centuries, it has now been found.
Is it secret? Is it safe?
There was a time when people seemed to think it would be impossible to make a live action version of The Lord of the Rings. It would always just have to be animation. But then along came Peter Jackson, and in the early noughties, he was able to create what is one of the great film trilogies of our lifetimes. Yes, set against the beautiful backdrop of New Zealand as Middle-earth, Peter Jackson's native country, with an enormous cast of brilliant actors, brings alive these Tolkien stories over three epic adventures. And this will always go down as one of the classic trilogies of all time.
Big Shot's gonna give you what you want.
He says there's no chance.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
When Mario Puzo created The Godfather in literature, he made an epic story which would become an epic film trilogy when Francis Ford Coppola came along and he put his shine onto what is a fantastic story about immigration, the American dream. It's a story about family, it's a story about betrayal. You know, starring some of the biggest names ever in cinema across the trilogy, from Marlon Brando to James Caan to Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. This is a film series that is absolutely unmissable. It's also rare in the fact that many consider the second part of the trilogy to be the best part. What do you think? Let's know in the comments below.
Star Command, come in. Do you read me?
The story of two toys.
There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
Hello?
Headed
for a showdown.
My name is Woody. This is my spot.
I am Buzz Lightyear. I come in peace.
When Toy Story came along in 1995, a lot of the initial reaction to it was incredibly positive because of the CGI, because of the technology that was on the screen that changed the way that storytelling happened on the screen for family films, and still today you see the influences of it. But actually, one of the key things about Toy Story that made it so brilliant was the way that it talked equally to adults and to children, so that the whole family could enjoy it on different levels but at the same time. And in that three-part trilogy, and let's let's not talk too much about Toy Story 3 and the bits near the end, because it makes me cry just thinking about it. This story of Woody and Buzz Lightyear, essentially in a coming-of-age story for Andy, is one of the great three-part stories that has ever been told in cinema. And yes, I know there's a Toy Story 4, but for me that acts as a little bit more of an epilogue really than part of the original trilogy. This is one that you must watch. You've got to put it on your list.
How far are you going?
About 30 years.
Now, the only real debate around Back to the Future is which is the greatest film. For me, I think it's probably 1, but sometimes it's 2. It just depends what mood I'm in. But I recently heard a very compelling argument for why Back to the Future 3 was the best. So, you know, controversial. Put in the comments below what your favourite Back to the Future film is. But the thing that we cannot debate here is the fact that it deserves to be on this list, because the adventures of Marty McFly and Doc Brown in the present, the past, the future, and of course the Wild West are something that have become part of pop culture over the last few decades, and this story is one that everyone wants to watch again and again.
Luke Skywalker was just a farm boy until he received a mysterious message from a princess.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
She's beautiful.
Star Wars.
One of the great trilogies of all time, and again, it's science fiction. It is Star Wars, the original 3 films in the series. George Lucas's epic space opera that would go on to spawn a franchise that would not only have prequels, would not only have sequels, but it would have animated series, it would have TV series. This is something that will run and run and run, and since the acquisition of Lucasfilm by Disney a few years ago, we've seen a lot of those things continue to run quite quickly. But those original 3 films are some of the best that have ever been made, and as a trilogy, the story that is told is one that continues to inspire people of every generation who see it. So we cannot and will not have a list without the Star Wars trilogy on it. Right, that's it. That is the top 10 best movie trilogies that you can watch. Do you think there's anything missing? Is there a series that you would have included? If there is, please write in the comments below what your favourite movie trilogy is and why, and then maybe we can debate that as a Screen OD community. You know what, if we come up with another 10, perhaps we can make another video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, why not hit that like button, and if you haven't already, go on, subscribe to the channel. You'll get all the best content direct to your feed. Until next time, go and check out all the other Screen OD videos. It will make your streaming life better, and I'll see you again very soon.